Well, as we continue to soak in the glory of the Winter Games in Milano Cortina, we're also looking back to when Vancouver hosted the Olympic Games in 2010 with a series exploring the lasting legacies of those games. Now, last week we took you to Whistler to talk about a growing Filipino community, and now we go off to the city of Richmond. It is the site of two infrastructure projects built circa 2010, the Canada Line and the Richmond Oval. And Ali Pitargue went to Richmond to get a better sense of just how much the Olympics factored into the city's identity over the past 16 years. And she joins us now to tell us a little bit about what you learned. Hello.
Hey, Stephen.
First off, let's just paint a picture here. What was the city of Richmond like before 2010?
So generally, Richmond's reputation was that it's a suburb adjacent to Vancouver, though it's been known to have a unique food scene. And of course, it's a vibrant hub for the Chinese community. According to the athletes I spoke to, it's always been a sporty city.
Yeah.
The Richmond K-Jacks, for example, they're a track and field club. They've been around for 60 years, for example. But when it comes to accessing the city for transit users, it's a different story. It wasn't the easiest. There was a rapid bus with a dedicated bus lane on number 3 Road, and I remember taking it back in the day, and it tended to be a really crowded ride. So I wanted to get a sense of how it all built up. And of course, I went to someone who's seen it all, naturally. I'm, of course, talking about Richmond's mayor of 25 years, Malcolm Brody. So he's been mayor of Richmond even before Vancouver won the bid to host the Olympics. And so Brody says that Richmond had a good rapport with Vancouver Olympic Committee Chairman John Furlong, who he says was a Richmond resident. And he said the city had given the bid committee $500,000 with no guarantee they'd see anything from it. And he tells me that 2010 made for a big opportunity for the city despite the hardships along the way.
There's no question that 2010 was a special time for the city of Richmond. And I should note, there was a lot of skepticism going up to 2010. A lot of people thought there is no way. I mean, we don't want to spend the money. We don't want to be part of it. Nothing. And when the Olympics got here, it was a different story. People were very appreciative of the efforts we had made as a city to become part of that special time.
Yep, so it's Malcolm Brody, mayor of Richmond.
All right. And so he was all in with the Olympics. But let's talk about the legacy projects. You know, the Canada Line, back when I was covering that stuff, it wasn't even called the Canada Line. It was called the RAV Line, and the R stood for Richmond. It got first billing, the Richmond Airport Vancouver Line, way back in the day.
Yeah, well, first off, let's make it clear that the Canada Line is an Olympic-related project. So it wasn't conceived specifically for the Olympics. And there was always a demand for a rapid, just sustainable transit line from Vancouver to Richmond, right? But plans have been in the drawing board for years. But according to the Vancouver 2010 Olympic bid book, one of their commitments is sustainable public transit to access the games. And so the Olympics essentially accelerated its construction to be ready in time for 2010. And of course, it wasn't an easy road. There's many back and forths with shrinking timelines and cost overruns and the public-private partnership behind the project. And of course, the disruptive construction, which is quite similar to what we're seeing right now with the Broadway subway project, right? And about this, I spoke to Shayna Furlong. She is the president and CEO of the Richmond Chamber of Commerce, and she says, overall, it was a net benefit, not just for businesses, though, but also for workers.
We have more jobs here than workers who leave to go to other communities. So we're actually a net importer of workers into Richmond. Canada Line makes it so much easier for those people to get to their places of work. You know, for example, at YVR, our largest employment base in Richmond is around the airport. That's thousands of people that are coming in every day to go to work. Imagine what traffic would be like if they were in cars.
So Richmond businesses, they became more accessible for out-of-towners, and more development has spurred since. And Mayor Brody tells me densification was the goal. And in his last address to the Chamber of Commerce, it's his final year of mayor, by the way, after 25 years.
Not running again,
Yeah, it's his last address. And he identified the Canada Line as the most transformative piece of infrastructure he's seen in his career, in his 25 years. And the clip.
It has absolutely changed our city because now you could have not just the people living here, but you had to have the confidence of the investment community. You needed the business to have confidence in the situation. Without the Canada line, that couldn't have happened, not in the same way. You couldn't have done it in the same way to the same scale with buses.
And he says the people who live close to the line really make full use of it.
And of course, you can take that legacy project, you can jump on that legacy project, and it will take you directly to a second legacy project, which is the Oval.
Yes, I took the transit from Surrey to get to the Oval. It's a long ride, and also you do have to add a 20-minute walk once you get off Lansdowne Station.
There's that, yeah.
Yeah, but once you walk up to it, though, the Olympic rings on the building's edifice, they jump out at you, and it becomes clear that this is the place to bask in Olympic pride in Richmond. And you walk in, and you go up to the floor, and you're hit with just a symphony of really sporty sounds. There are balls bouncing on courts, and skate blades scraping the ice, and athletes grunting, and coach whistles. And even on the third floor, they have an Olympic museum and has all kinds of memorabilia from Olympic Games from the 2010 and Games past. And otherwise, in the Oval, I intended to meet with one of Richmond's most accomplished Olympians. He is the best race walker in the world right now. His name is Evan Dunphy, who was just crowned world champion last year. And so he does a fair bit of training at the Oval, and he's also worked there for some events. And he told me about one of the Richmond Oval's mandates for high-performance sport and the kind of environment it fosters.
When you have such a big, diverse group that come and use this facility, from kids to seniors and everything in between, when they get to see high performance taking place, whether it's on the climbing wall, whether it's on the sport courts, whether it's on the rink, they take a little piece of that high performance mentality, that attitude with them when they go back to their own lives. And I think that's a huge element of this, is bringing people from all ages of the spectrum, but also all abilities. You see people with different abilities, with limited abilities, having success and thriving in this building.
And Evan also pointed out that Richmond had been declared the most active city in Canada last July by the Participation Community Challenge. And the Oval serves as a hub for a vibrant athletic community. Back in the aughts, the city of Richmond beat out SFU to become the site of where the Oval will be constructed, if you remember that. And, Malcolm Brody says the council had to seize the opportunity because it would never come again. And then fast forward 16 years later, and the Oval is still buzzing with all kinds of athletic activity and people who are way more fit than I am.
And Evan listed the number of facilities at the Oval, but it was originally built to hold speed skating in 2010. That's very different now.
Yeah, it's no longer a giant ice rink inside, but instead there are multiple sports facilities. On one hand, you have 2 hockey ice rinks, and on the other side, you have the dry sports for the sport courts. And the Oval did provide a statement saying it's intended for it to be converted to be a multi-sport layout because, to fulfill the needs of the community. And we can safely assume that hockey is a more popular sport than speed skating, but it doesn't mean that speed skating doesn't happen at the Oval anymore, though. But these days, it's only short track, not long. I went to see the Richmond Rockets. So they are a short track speed skating club, and they train at the Oval and one of the hockey ice rinks. And it's mostly for young athletes aged 13 and under. And they do travel to multiple competitions around the province. And interim president Natalie Jean, she is a parent of one skater. And she describes the club as rather grassroots that currently relies on parents to take up coaching duties. And the dream for her is to see one of their members get to be an Olympian, so they're looking to find ways to elevate their coaching abilities.
Yeah, of course, we have the best rink, best facility. We hope the skater could live here, skate here until they reach the podium, like Olympic. When the skater reach to 14 years of age, they may qualify for the high performance, which is an Oval program. But when they graduate from high school, they either have to go to East, like Quebec or Calgary, or they retire.
Yeah, so that was Natalie Jean. She's the president of the Richmond Rockets.
Okay,
Interim president, I mean.
So maybe not producing Olympians just yet, but despite that, did overall then, after everything you've done and all the people you talked to, did the Olympics pay off for Richmond?
Well, according to the people I spoke to, it's an emphatic yes. And if you really want to be good at the sport, the Richmond Oval is a good place to probe. And of course, there are challenges when it comes to maintaining Richmond's infrastructure. There are financial barriers for high-performance sport, for example. There's funding teams and facilities, and of course, improving Richmond's transportation network beyond the Canada Line. But one thing's clear, the Oval and the Canada Line will continue to serve the city of Richmond for generations to come. So here's just a few of those next-gen athletes. They are Skylar, Kaylee, and Jaden, and I met them at the Oval.
I wanted to skate fast, so then my mom found speed skating. So I started speed skating here in grade 3, and then I've been skating until now.
It's really cool because you know everyone, you have like a common interest. There are drills where you have relay where you push each other to do laps around the rink, and I think it's a good way to meet new people.
You want to be in the Olympics one day?
Yeah.
I'm remembering those names, Skylar, Kaylee, and Jaden.
Yeah, Skylar, Kaylee, and Jaden.
Coming to a podium sometime soon.
Yes, we're all rooting for you guys.
Ali, thank you so much. Really appreciate this.
Thanks, Stephen.
Ali Pitargue, story producer with us on the early edition.